Welcome back to the Ref Show with Mark Halsey and with David Hirst. We make no apologies for leading with the championship in this section. You may recall a few weeks ago that we highlighted the treatment by referees of Fernando Forestieri, a tricky player, a top goal-scoring player for Sheffield Wednesday, who had started to become a marked man, we thought, and he'd picked up a couple of outrageous cautions, really, for diving. Well, the tally now is up to 4. We have a former Sheffield Wednesday striker and a guy who helps coach down at Hillsborough now with the kids in David Hirst. How do you read this? Just before we come to you, David, 4 cautions for simulation now against Forestieri. At Preston, Keith Straub was the referee. At Hull, it was Tim Robinson. Against MK Dons at Hillsborough last week, it was Darren Handley. And against Derby last Saturday, it was an experienced Premier League referee in Lee Mason.
Well, I think what we're trying to do, I think the referees are all taking it in turns, aren't they? You know, you see, it's getting crazy. I mean, I don't think any one of them was a caution. I think the one at the weekend at Derby, I think the Keogh should have been sent, you know, leading with his arm. Second yellow. And Forestieri gets booked for it, who's 3'6" against 6'3". The body smashes into him, he goes down, the referee sees it's Fernando Forestieri, cautions him. Absolutely atrocious.
You think it's simply, oh, it's that guy, I'll book him?
Well, I think so. I mean, Fernando's a tricky little player, and he's a clever player. Now, I don't think he goes looking for free kicks. I think he takes advantage of poor defending. You know, when people stick your leg out and you're a nippy little striker that gets across people, you're going to connect their legs. Now, whether he goes down as the referee sees it as a dive, he's going to always go with that.
Mark, I know you viewed closely all 4 incidents, and start with last Saturday. What do you think?
I mean, I watched the game. I watched the game live, and I just thought that, you know, Lee's an experienced referee, and I just thought his recognition and his recognition of foul, non-foul, was poor for a referee of that standing. And as I say, I think what he thinks there is that Forestieri's pulled Keogh, and he hasn't.
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
After the game,
and you know, you're a Sheffield Wednesday ex-player and fan, and I thought Derby should have had a penalty as well.
Definitely. I understand that. Lopez came back.
That's it, Lopez. And I just felt that his recognition of foul, non-foul, his accuracy and decision making wasn't what it should have been at that level. And so do you blame the referees? And I look at it, and I've looked at it, and I think, well, no, we've got to look at the way they are coached and they're managed, and the quality of coaching they are receiving. And I believe at the moment it's not acceptable at that level, the quality coaching they are receiving, because they're not. They're not receiving any sort of coaching whatsoever.
Top-class referees refereeing the game,
but they're not being coached.
They're all making the same mistake.
But they're not being coached properly.
Well,
that's what it is.
To be fair, as a non-referee, watching the first couple of incidents that he's had, knowing that I'm refereeing that game later on, and I've seen the incidents, you've got to be a bit more wary about what you're going to throw cards at.
It seems that this referee has been targeted. It looks like a vendetta. I'm sure it's not a vendetta, but it looks like it.
It does. I mean, I looked at all incidents, and you just think, how has the referee seen those as simulation? It's the same with the Vardy situation when Vardy was sent off. Any young referee out there watching our show, please do not go looking for trouble, because it will find you. Listen, even if you think he has gone down easy, and there is most probably a little bit of contact, then just play on, do nothing, give nothing, play on. But you know, you look at, I'm sorry to go back to our coaching and our coaches. You know, you look at, I think there's most probably one quality coach, Alan Wiley, that coaches the development group that are looking at going into the Premier League, whereas I think Alan does a very good job. But other than that, I think it's very, very poor that the quality of coaching that we're receiving at that level.
How does it leave this club and this player? It doesn't matter that it's Sheffield Wednesday and that you happen to play for them. We would highlight this if it was any top player, you know, in the Championship and any team.
On Saturday you get a situation where, you know, Forestieri gets brought off the game because of the yellow card. You know, that this is a crucial part of the season for Sheffield Wednesday. You know, they've got to have the best players out there. And I think the manager pulled him off the pitch just save him for next week because he can't have him having another yellow.
He shouldn't be put in that position to make a decision like that, should he?
Well, he shouldn't be, no, but this is what I say. We've got professional referees making the same mistake week in, week out.
For clarity, though, on this particular incident at Derby and the fact that you've acknowledged that Sheffield Wednesday conceded a penalty effectively there in a 1-1 draw, Derby should have had a penalty. See, you're not sort of looking at it from blinkers. Is the referee sort of intimating afterwards he's not booked him or cautioned him for simulation? He thinks he's tugged.
Yeah, I think he said in commentary, didn't it? They went back that he'd been cautioned for him pulling for a deliberate pullback.
But he's actually seen something that's not there then, because you can watch it over and over and he doesn't do it.
No.
So he's used that as an excuse to give the yellow card.
Okay, so we move on from that. But you would think, just finally on it, Mark, that some kind of circular would go out to referees highlighted, because you can actually see them. You know, you can actually pin all the incidents together and say, be careful, referees. You know, these bad calls have been made against this player. Would that happen?
No, there'd be no circular go out. I mean, I would imagine Sheffield Wednesday would put in a formal complaint to the Football League and the manager of the referees, David Allison, and meet up and come in and say, well, can you please explain to me how you see these as simulation or effective diving? Please tell me, can you tell me what you're telling your referees about our players?
Yeah. Something a bit happier from the Football League on refereeing. I happened to see a League One derby between Sheffield United and Barnsley, and I know Keith Hackett was there too. His grandsons support your old team, Barnsley. It was a 0-0 draw. It wasn't a bad game though. It was an old-fashioned derby. Lots of challenges flying in, and the referee.
Quite at stake, weren't they?
There was a lot at stake, and the referee treated it like an old-fashioned derby. This was David Coote. And I think everyone, I talked to Nigel Adkins afterwards, and I think everybody was impressed with the way this referee had treated the game, Mark. Yeah,
that's what when you get these big derbies, you've got to allow a little bit, haven't you? You do tend to referee them differently. And David Coote is a good young referee that I know is in that development group which Alan Wiley is coaching. So it goes to show that Alan Wiley is doing his job. He's doing his job. I'm not so sure about all the other coaches, you know. So, but well done, David. Keep it going.
Yeah, definitely.
And could he be a contender for the full-time elite group for the Championship referee?
Yeah, I believe it is. You know, there's about 31 interviews, looking for about 12 places and 4 part-time. So, I imagine David's on that list to become a full-time referee in the Championship.
Well, finally, you'll recall a conversation that we had on youaretheref.com on this show, the Ref Show. I think it was last season actually, about post-match comment and the lack of post-match comment from referees. And I think you and Keith possibly had a suggestion to make about that. What was it?
Yeah, I mean, what it was, what I said was that you know, they have a delegate from the Premier, appointed by the Premier League. As a delegate goes in and watches the referee's performance and writes about his performance. So he goes in then after the game into the referee, and they talk about his management of the game, his key match decisions, and his positioning and movement. And that's when I thought to myself, well then, what's wrong if the Premier League are appointing a delegate to go and look at the referee? Why does the delegate not then come out and speak to the press when there's a big key match incident that's taken place?
Surprise, surprise. According to the very respected Henry Winter, that kind of system is going to operate in the Premier League next season, that decisions can be explained by a referee's delegate. I think, providing the referee's happy.
I think, yeah, provided the referee's happy. But what we've got here, we've got to make sure people are not.
So it's not going to happen then.
Well, we've got to make sure people are not patting themselves on the back, and we've got to make sure the delegate's coming out. He's going to be honest, and you know, if referees made a mistake, we've got to tell him why he's made a mistake, how he's made the mistake, and what his thought process was in his decision making.
I've said it for a number of years. Van Gaal has to come out and do it. Renegard has to come out and do it when he was at Villa. You know, when they're in difficult times, why they didn't win, why they made this substitution, why they go through the game, and they have to come out on TV and explain their situation. And I've always said the referee should do the same. It
wouldn't be a routine briefing though. It would only be when there's something contentious.
When there's something contentious. But what's pleasing?
Well, if it's really contentious, it'll not come out because they'll go and speak about it themselves and say no, we'll leave that one this week, and we're back to square one.
But they then get hammered.
Yeah.
But then again, they haven't put themselves deeper into the can of worms, if you like.
But now that we know they can do it, they can be legitimately criticised, can't they? For, you know, there's something really that needs explaining and nobody has.
Well, the delegate's got to be honest, and he's got to be given, you know, he's got to be told by the Premier. He can come out and he can say that the referee's made an error.
Yeah.
You know, this is why he's made, as I said before, they've got to be able to be honest and say it as it is. There's no, you know, like we see, you know, God bless, I mean, Dermot Gallagher comes out on Sky Sports News every Monday talking about decisions, but he has to say what he's been told by the PGMOL because they pay his wages. Yeah. But it's great that we've highlighted it about the delegates. We've brought it up on this show, and it's good to see that they listen to us.
Somebody out there is listening, even to you, even to you, Mr. Halsey, even to you, and even to you, Mr. Hirst. Thanks very much indeed. It's been very entertaining as ever. Thank you for your company. Keep the emails coming. See you on the Ref Show again next week. Bye for now. Bye.